The Entrepreneurial You is brought to you by JPS, powering what matters.
It's time to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit in you. Time to take that step towards leading and excelling in life and business. Whether you're starting with an idea or you're looking to scale up, there's something here for everyone. So, follow me on this journey of unleashing and celebrating the entrepreneur in you. This week on the Entrepreneurial You, the trailblazing Nayanna Williams, CEO of Lifespan Spring Water, is our featured business leader. And in our Vox Pop, who are some Jamaicans that come to mind when you think of business success? We hit the streets for a feedback on that topic. Plus, cryptocurrency, the next big thing, or is it? We share some basics on the tradable digital asset in our trending now. And in our startup stories, Mars Legacy is under the SME spotlight. This and more on today's episode of the Entrepreneurial You. Fierce, forward-thinking, and certainly not afraid to take on a challenge, Nayanna Williams boldly leads a brand that bears a strong influence on its industry and a strong connection to her purpose. She's traveled across geographical and professional borders to find her true calling as Chief Executive Officer of Lifespan Spring Water Company, a business that is globally recognized for its award-winning quality standards and its local contributions to nation building. The Portland-born powerhouse business influencer has found her niche and is on a mission to pour back into her town and country the investment and resources she has received. It's Nyanna Williams on the Entrepreneurial You. Nayanna Williams LLM, without question, embodies what it means to be a model business owner. Not only because she is Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of a market-leading company that she has helped develop from ground up, but also because her pursuit for success is fueled by her passion to empower her community. It's this passion that gave birth to what we now know as Lifespan Spring Water, a brand that has racked up several local awards and international recognition for its high quality components, a brand that's already carving out an industry that is full of growth potential and ready to lead the pack with Nayanna Williams at its helm. She's our guest today on the Entrepreneurial You. Nayanna, it is so good to have you here.
Well, so happy to be here.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I met you at Capital Quest. I may have known about you before.
Yeah.
I think I met you at Capital Quest, right?
Right, that's when we got to know each other.
Yeah. And we were rivals in that competition, and it was a great time, right?
Yeah,
a very tough time. But where I want to start with this conversation, right, is from your book. I want to start out with your book. Congratulations, you're now an author.
Thank you.
So put that out there, right? And I'm going to read a little something to start off. And I'm just diving in because I really wanted to know about 6-year-old Nayanna. And it says, at that time in my life, I turned 6 years old. I was told that I was like a bright shining star. I paraded around the house with the most beautiful smile, always jubilant, extremely inquisitive and talkative. But in just one evening, my entire personality changed. It's incredible to think that now, as an adult, I experience so much love and happiness, yet the action of someone else's wrongdoing took my childhood innocence away from me, end quote. And one might ask, why did I start here? I start here because I can relate. I start here because when I started reading this book, I'm like, oh my gosh, so much of her story is like mine. And I really want to know about the 6-year-old girl. So before we go into all this entrepreneurial stuff, tell us about this 6-year-old child.
All right. So, this 6-year-old child, and I don't have a whole lot of memory of being 6, but this memory was hidden for a long time until, I became an adult and I realized, there was this trauma that I had gone through that I needed to face. And it was when I had my first child, my daughter. And, I was very overprotective of her, excessively overprotective. And, I started questioning this because it was kind of unnatural. And, and that is when it started coming back to me. And I realized that, this thing really happened to me, because it was like it happened, but I did not understand it. And so for a very, very long time, I buried it. I buried it, but I was able to confront it on my own without help. And by confronting it, I was able to really get past it.
Absolutely. And first of all, I want to say I'm sorry for what happened to you, on behalf of everyone who has ever gone through that,
Yeah.
And I know we started this conversation on that note, but I also want to make the point that as entrepreneurs, we go around, with our capes on our back, particularly women, right? Because we don't have, and you speak a lot about being a female leader in this book, the lifespan movement, progress, purpose, happiness, right? But we walk around multitasking, doing all these things, and people seeing our success and not understanding and recognizing that in the midst of all of that, there are traumas that we have to deal with, right? In the midst of all of that, there are situations that we have to confront, and what we don't confront, we cannot really heal from.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm very proud of you for telling your story,
Thank you.
telling everybody, the world to see and to know that in spite of everything, and you've mentioned several odds, again, we'll perhaps make reference to some of them as we go through, but you are doing well. And from that 6-year-old who has gone through trauma and living, you talk a lot about your grandparents as well. Tell us a little bit about what your grandparents, or the impact your grandparents have had on your life and who you are today. You don't want to miss Nayanna's response. We'll have it on the other side of this break. The Entrepreneurial You will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial You.
I think, like growing up and growing into a family where my grandparents were such a fixed part of my life, their actions impacted me a whole lot without me even knowing that's what was happening. So, I saw my grandparents as very hardworking people. My grandmother, she had a farm. My grandfather was a fisherman. He also worked at the sugar plantation, and he went to work during the week, and on the weekends he would also be fishing. He would go and do his fishing. So I grew up seeing this, so it became these things that was happening was a natural thing for me. I ended up loving fishing as well, and seeing my grandmother farming. I might not be a very good farmer, but these things have impacted me a whole lot.
It's interesting because when I think farming, I cannot see you, and fishing and all of that. It's like somehow you have this stereotypical view of, what those kind of things would, or who would be inclined to do those kind of things.
Right.
So I saw that obviously you're, jack of all trades or Jane of all trades.
I think I do a lot of stuff. I have a lot of interest in a whole lot of stuff, and not many people would look at me and think, oh, Nayanna really likes fishing or really like diving or swimming, but those are things that I like to do.
All right, so what we want to talk about quickly before we go to the break is the fact that you spoke in the book a lot about your dad and going around and hearing those business conversations, right?
Yeah.
How did those conversations shape what you're doing now?
I think, from those early days, being exposed to an office environment and being exposed to these conversations, it helped to mold me, because I always had an interest in just being around that type of environment. So I think it had an impact on me, because that's what I liked doing and I ended up loving. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Nayanna, tell me something. Having gone through trauma, you've gone through challenges, struggles, and you are here now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are where you are today with some of the most accomplished feats ever, right? As a woman in business. If you could time travel and go back to that 16-year-old girl and have a conversation with her, what would that conversation be like?
All right, so I will tell my 16-year-old self that there are going to be trials, and it's a matter of how I deal with those trials. That's how I needed to get past it. So I would have to know that. I would have to tell myself that you have to be aware that you have to go through trials, and it should not define who you are.
Right. So just like the caterpillar goes through metamorphosis to become a butterfly, the diamond goes through fire in order to be purified.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone. Each trial is a stepping stone to what is next to come.
Right. So, and I'm going to refer, I will refer to the book a lot, because I really want people to get the book. I really do. With everything that has happened, you've experienced, right, throughout your business journey, your personal journey, relationship journey, everything. What is your why? What's that overarching thing that keeps you going and keeps the fuel,
I think when I look at life, there's so many persons, so many people who are unhappy. And I think, it's because we tend to not focus on everything that's happening that's good in our life. We focus on what's not happening or what is not good. So, like for starting Lifespan, for example, I didn't want to do a business that would not be beneficial to other persons. So it was like I needed to do something that persons can benefit from in a positive way. And I think those are some of the reasons why I have to, that's what motivates me. I want to see people happy. I want to see people healthy.
Happy and healthy. Those are two goals. And sometimes, as you rightfully say, we are looking at the things that we don't have instead of experiencing, and demonstrating rather gratitude, right? And a good practice to have. Nyanna Williams, a female entrepreneur making waves in her field. She shares some critical business tips on the other side of this break. Welcome back. CEO and co-founder of Lifespan Spring Water, Nyanna Williams, is my guest today in Zooming In, and she joins us with some valuable first-hand expert advice that only comes through discussions like these. So Nyanna, speak to us about a time when you wanted to give up but didn't, and why.
All right, so I can talk about my experience with an employee that I had. So this employee, he was straight out of college, and very humble background, just a person I could relate to, and he came on board. He proved himself to be a valued employee. He was brilliant, and so he worked his way up. I started trusting him, and he disappointed me. There was a situation where and I don't want to say too much because it's in the book if persons haven't read it.
Get the book hint.
Yeah. But it was a situation where, I felt betrayed. I felt almost as if I wanted to give up on persons, because my whole thing was to employ these younger persons in the community and train them up to become leaders. And, and that was my entire take on the situation. But when this happened, I felt so betrayed. I felt like I no longer wanted to do this.
So what kept you going? And before you even answer what kept you going, have you found that in some way affected how much trust you place on, your team?
Initially it did, right after it happened, because I felt like I didn't know who to trust. And but then I decided, instead of me employing persons who have no experience and try to train them up, now I need to start employing more experienced persons who have already invested in their education and invested in themselves, who had a lot to lose, and this is what I did. So,
right. And again, tough times don't last, only tough people do. So
I think it's like you get down, like you fall down and you just pull yourself back up and just move on.
Absolutely.
And that experience taught me that when I look back at it now, it has taught me that it does not have to define who I become. I mean, I don't have to not trust persons because of what happened. So,
Absolutely. So your story, very inspiring and insightful, Nayanna. You've been sharing a lot of gems with us. So as a female in a leadership role, what do you consider to be the most challenging aspect of being at the helm of Lifespan Spring Water?
The most challenging aspect? I don't think about challenges because I know that they come along, and it's just a matter of expecting the next challenge when it comes along and just dealing with it. So I look at challenges when they come as the next solution, finding the next solution.
What about being in the boardroom with men? With people, with leaders who are mainly men sometimes. How do you navigate that? Because we know as women, sometimes the men don't take us seriously. Even women don't take us seriously. So how do you navigate that?
I don't think about it. The good thing about my board, it's a 50-50 board. So, and that is the way it should be. Unfortunately, that's not the case all around. But I don't look at it that way. I've noticed at times throughout, not in the boardroom, but in other times where...
Right, and not to cut you, when I say boardroom, I'm not necessarily talking about your boardroom,
right.
But you're going to meetings with other, for whatever it is that
and I have gone to meetings where it was all men. I'm being the only female, and my husband was there, of course, because we're partners, and they would direct all the questions to him, and
as if you don't exist.
As if I don't exist. Or it would be a case of, there was a situation at one point where we were in discussions about a partnership, possible alignment to for an export project. And they said those other parties mentioned that they want to form a separate company, and then my husband, of course, would be a part shareholder in that company. And when they were assigning tasks, I was, a paper was thrown at me, for example, like, we need you to do this, Nayanna, we need you to do that, as if I was
You're
not...
a secretary or something?
I was like, I was nobody there.
She's got more exclusives to share right here on the Entrepreneurial You. Soon come. welcome back to this insightful conversation with the co-owner of the Lifespan Spring Water brand, Nyanna Williams, on the Entrepreneurial You. What I'd like to know, because a lot of women, self-confidence is an issue, imposter syndrome is an issue, right? Because of all these things that exist and this noise that exists, they don't feel like they're good enough and should be in that role. What do you have to say to them?
Well, I think we all experience imposter syndrome. There have been times when I felt like, I am not, why am I here? I'm not qualified to be here. This is what you experience along the road. So you naturally, and then I start talking to myself like, why am I asking myself this question?
With a law degree and so many other things, right?
Yeah. So the positive self-talk comes in, and then that's what I use to kind of get past that imposter syndrome.
Right. Let's spend a little moment here. Your positive self-talk.
Yeah.
What are some of those things that you tell yourself, that you get up in the days and you look yourself in the mirror and you talk to yourself? What are some of those things?
It's like, I can do it. I can conquer the world. What's stopping me from conquering the world? So these are things that I talk to myself about. So, I am good enough. I am loved.
Yeah.
Recently, some ladies looked at me and was like, Nayanna, you are so powerful. And then, we were all doing positive, affirmations. And I was like, mine is, I am powerful.
Yes, and you are, and you speak the things called, even before, like you call the things that are not as though they are, and eventually they become. And you are, and you've gone through all of that, the challenges in the boardroom, in the meetings, as a child and all of these things, and you are here. And we are grateful that you didn't give up along the way. And I'd love to ask you at this point, Nayanna, what is one of those non-negotiable things that you have in business? Like, this is it. No matter what, this is how I'm standing up, what I'm standing up for. It's a non-negotiable for you. What is that?
I think honesty. That's very important to me. Integrity. It's like I set a certain standard. So in business, in my personal life, and it's non-negotiable. So it is that if I set a policy within my business, it should be followed, and we should all be accountable to that policy. So that's one of the things.
Accountability as well. I hear that popping out there, and that is so important. And clearly, you must have a support system, people that have inspired you, maybe in your home, in Jamaica, across the world, because you were traveling the world, right? And you lived overseas and all of these things. So you've had that experience and exposure. But who are some of the people that have helped to mold you into who you are? Because I tell you, people look at you and you're so quiet, and they will underestimate you, right? But you're a gentle giant. I know that. So.
So, like one of the persons, like I was driving in this morning to Kingston, and I was listening to Indra Nooyi, her book, My Life in Full. And I have been watching her for quite some time. She was the former CEO of PepsiCo. And just listening to her and listening to her book, it talks about so many things that I have undergone as a leader, as a female leader, and as a female, professional. And I think, she has, broken those glass ceilings. She has done what many of us aspire to do. And I think she is a great role model. And I think every female should listen to her book or read her book.
I am going to, based on your recommendation, seek her out, because I didn't know her before.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back a little to the business. Are there any plans to go public with the company?
There is always that plan, because I don't see Lifespan as just being where it is today. I think of Lifespan, in the next 100 years or so, a multinational conglomerate that is promoting life and health. So Yeah, I think we will definitely, Lifespan will definitely go public one of these days.
All right, so speaking about 100 years, and you kind of alluded to it a while ago, but what do you want your legacy to be? Say in the next 100 years from now, when people think Lifespan, what emotions that you want them to feel, and what do you want them to...
I want them to feel healthy when they think of Lifespan. Yeah.
Feel healthy
and happy
well and whole.
Happy and whole, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What an inspiration you are, Nayanna Williams.
Thank you.
Coming up, we hit the streets to get the views of Jamaicans on our topic of the day, and we highlight another business trend you'll want to pay close attention to. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial You. The Entrepreneurial You, voice of the people.
I'm not telling them people that run business right now, said we. Because Bush not the bigger one than in town, you know. But in Sunland, did it?
I like Shaggy.
Yeah, late shit.
The entertainment. Now, if you say you have to big up Romish, you know what I mean? And you don't know them food them, you know the Azan them, you know them top people, the leeching, all of them people, all of them. For you say business success, all of them are going to come to mind.
A lot of successful persons are out there, but in regards to entertainment, I have to give it to Romish because he does really great things. You understand? And boss whole heap of big artists, Shensi, Ding Dang, TJ, whole heap of them come out of Romish Entertainment, and not just Romish Entertainment itself as he is a producer, but also Romish wear with clothing line and all that.
Vibes Cartel.
For me, it's Mr. Mafood.
I think about Michael Lee Chin. You know, he's a pioneer in the financial industry, very successful businessman.
Being a owner of business is one thing, but being a owner of business and the product selling is something that you create, you make money off of that. Yeah, the ultimate.
My definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who start their own business. I could have even an igler, and you can buy your goods and sell it back. So no matter what level of business you reach, if you start sell one bag juice, you start sell till you have a stall, and from a stall to a shop, from a shop to a wholesale. So you see, from you are your own boss, you're an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneurship, just start your own business and make it work. You understand? From a mickle to a muckle. I always grew up on your grandparents said with that. So entrepreneurship, just do your own thing.
Someone that has an idea and put it towards making it a success and making it into a business for their own, making money.
For me, an entrepreneur is someone who finds means and ways not to accept any handouts from anybody. So they will always want to be generating their own revenue to make sure that they're not depending on anybody.
Entrepreneur is someone who is a visionary, someone who is resilient and determined to get what he or she wants, and they just have a business mindset.
For me, an entrepreneur is someone who believes they can operate a business and work towards doing so.
The cryptocurrency industry has grown exponentially over the last decade. More and more people are becoming interested in the mysterious digital currency industry that carries more than 14,000 different cryptocurrencies traded publicly at a value of almost 3 trillion as of November 2021. This according to market research website coinmarketcap.com. With all this focused attention being paid to cryptocurrency, here are some factoids you might find valuable. Cryptocurrency is a form of payment that can be exchanged online for goods and services. The currencies use the blockchain technology that manages and records transactions across computers. Crypto refers to the various encryption algorithms and cryptographic techniques that safeguard these transactions. One of the things that make this market so interesting is that there is no central authority to issue the currencies. They are theoretically immune to government meddling, but are susceptible to taxation in some regions. Perhaps that's part of the reason cryptocurrency is not supported by all countries, with some like Nigeria going as far as putting a ban on crypto exchanges. Now, let's take a closer look at the world's largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, Bitcoin. Launched in 2009 by an anonymous creator, Bitcoin has been described as fulfilling the need for an electronic payment system based on cryptographic proof instead of trust. Bitcoin transactions are stored on a public ledger containing information secured by a blockchain, which should make it difficult to tamper with. This seems to be the biggest pull for investors because since its public launch, one Bitcoin now sells for more than $62,000. And for those who may be wondering, yes, Bitcoin can be converted to cash. Still to come are startup stories and inspiring business tips. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial You.
Hi, my name is Jahima Myers and I'm the owner of Myers Legacy Car Imports.
Knowing I could simplify the motor vehicle importation process and offer personalized customer service to clients was what inspired me to start a business. I have made it easy for the ordinary person to import a motor vehicle of their choice. We assist clients in importing their own car. We offer vehicle selection consultation, custom duty calculations, motor vehicle broker services, and tracking the vehicle while being shipped. The most rewarding thing about being an entrepreneur for me is watching my ideas come to life while making customers happy. The most challenging thing for me with being an entrepreneur was believing in myself and having the courage to follow through with the process of owning my own business. The dream for my business is being the pioneer in simplifying the car importation process for the regular person. Being able to give specific dates for vehicle arrivals and tracking the ship the vehicle is on is what differentiates us from other car importers. Even though I had a job before, I needed to do something extra to bring in extra income. That is simply because things are expensive and I wanted to be in the green light to afford certain things. After paying bills, I want to have excess funds for doing stuff that I want to do. I don't want to be limited financially and I like to have options, so I decided to do this to support the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to live. When I went through the process of importing a car for myself, the difficulties that I faced, I thought to myself, how could this process be more transparent, more affordable, and timely for someone else? And I guess I took the process kind of personal and I thought that I could try to do something that would make this entire importation process simpler. One of the shortfalls I saw with the importation process was the timing when the car would arrive. It was not very clear. And from shipping small packages, there would be a tracking number or a tracking link that would be provided to the customer. I thought that, hey, we could just do the same kind of tracking for the motor vehicle.
Myers Legacy Car Imports. Contact us at 460-1519. Import your own car.
When you're identifying a mentor, I think it's very important that you make sure that it's not just someone who's accomplished the things that you want to accomplish, but it's someone who shares your values. It's very, very important. And I think it's very overlooked. I'll take, for example, you take someone like Jeffrey Bezos. He is the CEO of Amazon. He's someone who is, depending on what the stock price is of Amazon, he's the wealthiest human being, the wealthiest person on the planet. He is someone who so many people admire to be. Now, I'm an entrepreneur, but he's no mentor of mine because we don't share the same values. And the reason why I think it's very important that you identify someone who shares the same values is because your values are your rule book to life. That's like your code, right? And if we share the same values, that means that we would do the same. Like we would choose not to do certain things or do certain things based on that code. But if someone doesn't share your values, they're going to do all kinds of things to achieve their heights of life that you would never even think of doing, right? Because it's not within your moral code. So making sure that that potential mentor shares your values, very overlooked, but very, very important. Everyone has goals. You could be a billionaire, you still have goals. And if you, as the potential mentee, can identify, here's how I can help that person get closer to their goals, you are a value add. Now, after you've identified the values the ways that you can add value, then what you have to do is then you have to over and over and over and over again add value. It's not just a one-time hit, right? So for example, with Michael Lee Chin, I invited him out to this big conference in Atlanta. I interviewed him. It was a great interview. It was great for, for him reaching the goals that he wanted to reach. But did I stop there? No. The next year I was executive producing a television show, and they wanted to shoot the series in an island. So of course, Jamaica is my favorite place. So I said, but let's not just go to Jamaica. Let's go specifically to what hotel? To Trident, to his hotel. And I've found too, with potential mentors, here's the thing, especially if it comes to business, people will love you when you put money in their pocket. When you put money in their pocket, they will love you a much different way than if you're not putting money in their pocket, right? Even if you are a business. So you want to continue to add value over and over and over and over and over again.
The questions that ought to be asked, the essential insights to be shared, and the empowerment that needs to be spread start right here on the Entrepreneurial You. Thanks to my very special guest, Nyanna Williams LLM, for being willing and ready to contribute to this conversation. Today's word of hope is from Psalm 46, verse 5. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at the break of day. What good? Here's a preview of what's next on the Entrepreneurial You.
Well, there were ups and there were downs. There were moments when things were, it caused tension between me and my partner because, his idea as to what should be done to keep us afloat versus my ideas. I now realize that I'm more of a visionary. I have 500 ideas when I wake up every morning. So I now understand and realize that I need, in our operating system, because we have a specific operating system that we currently run our company, I need an integrator with me all the time. I'm the gas, I need some brakes. But you have to get to that place in life that you understand that.
Join us next week for another set of thought-provoking conversations with leaders, captivating features, and an opportunity to unleash the entrepreneurial spirit in you.
The Entrepreneurial You was brought to you by JPS, powering what matters.